is Republican Senator Roger Marshall, also serves on the Homeland Security Committee, and we'll certainly know where you stand later on in the game. But, Senator, welcome. We'll talk about that in a moment. But first, this bill. Why did you vote against it and give it a thumbs down? What are your concerns?
Well, Eric, look, 2/3 of Republicans voted against this bill. We're about to send $95 billion overseas, and we still haven't funded our own federal government. I've always said, look, America first. I promised I would not vote for any funding for Ukraine until we secured our own border. There's nothing in this to secure our own border. We need to take care of people at home first. We're losing 300 Americans every day from fentanyl poisoning alone. Look, let's secure our own border first. Then I'm willing to address some of these issues. Lastly, not only is there $60 billion in this for Ukraine, $10 billion of humanitarian funding that Hamas and Gaza would be eligible for. I support the Israel funding. We've given the Democrats 4 chances to vote for that on the floor, and they've rejected it.
Are you concerned, Senator, by voting no, that you're endangering Ukraine and that you are helping and bolstering Vladimir Putin in his attempt to capture that country and then go on and perhaps invade other Eastern European countries? Or is this a sense and a message from you that the border situation has to be really addressed?
Look, there's been already 200,000 Ukrainians die in this war, maybe twice that many Russians. It's been a stalemate for a year. I'm afraid that we're throwing gasoline on the fire, that we're accelerating the arms over there. We should be focused on some type of a peace treaty in Ukraine as opposed to feeding this beast over there. And like I said before, let's take care of our own border first, and then I'm willing to talk about how we help Ukraine. But certainly we could be leading the peace talks there in Ukraine right now.
But by leading a peace talks, aren't you going right into what Vladimir Putin wants?
I don't think so. I think that the problem is the White House, ultimately. We don't have a strong leader in the White House. Putin does not respect Joe Biden. No foreign leaders respect Joe Biden right now. As a physician myself, one of the first lessons I learned, once you lose your reputation, you never get it back. That's the challenge. And unless we have a change in November, I don't know what's going to happen. But look, I don't think giving more weapons is what we should be focused on right now, and certainly not sending more money to Hamas and to Gaza.
You did talk about Hamas and Gaza. And we've seen UNRWA, and we've seen the textbooks. Explain a little more, delve down into that, because we've got the reports from Israel about a Hamas, command center under the UNRWA headquarters. They're like, oh, we don't know. What? Who, us? It's like Sergeant Schultz in Hogan's Heroes. I don't know. We don't see anything. What do you think about that funding?
Well, look, there's been funding going to the UN since like 1949 already to the Palestinians. We've discovered these headquarters under UN buildings. There's a lot there. But at the end of the day, America should stand beside Israel. I know that for certain, that they've been a great ally to us, that they were savagely, brutally attacked by Hamas. Hamas is a terrorist organization that we need to focus on getting rid of. Look, war is horrible. I hate war. But in this situation, Israel needs to move as quickly as possible, as safely as possible, and rid the countryside of Hamas.
And in terms of our southern border, what type of bill would you like to see? What do you think could come out of the House from Speaker Johnson?
Well, it's very possible Speaker Johnson could just attach H.R. 2 to this funding. But I sat down once again with the Border Patrol officers, 3 very simple points that they would like to do. From an asylum standpoint, in catch and release. From a parole standpoint, we need to max out that number at 10,000 per year. Joe Biden's been doing 700,000. And then as far as the number of legal crossings in one day to shut down the border, this legislation that we looked at last week was 5,000 per day. We need to lower that to 1,000. That would be the starting point for border security.
Now, the president and the Democrats, they've been blaming the Republicans, saying that they don't want to pass something. They had the bipartisan bill, one of the strictest in memory. Certainly the border union supported that. What would you say to the president, in terms of any executive orders and something he can do right now in order to deal with this issue that they're not doing?
Yeah, Eric, to your point, the president could secure the border yesterday if he wanted to. He did over 90 executive orders once he was sworn in, basically opening up the border. He could reverse those 90 executive orders. He could declare an emergency right now. He has the legal authority to declare an emergency and shut the border down yesterday.
Would that shut it down? I mean, what would that do? What would an emergency order do?
I think that it would give the patrol officers basically to do catch and return back to Mexico as opposed to catch and release into this country.
And why do you think the president hasn't taken those steps? Is it political reasons?
So he wants this problem. He wants these 10,000 people crossing this border every day. He thinks that these are future Democrat voters, or going to give them more congressional districts, if you will. So it is totally political. I don't know how he sleeps at night with just the humanitarian crisis, the sex trafficking, the drug trafficking on upticks. I don't know how he sleeps at night.
Serious world affairs and world issues. You deal with that every single day. But if we can, well, the banner's okay. It's not hiding that there it is, the KC. What do you think of the game later? I know who you're rooting for. You know, it's the next state over, but Kansas, Joe's Kansas City barbecue is in Kansas, right? That's great. What do you think of what's going to happen?
Well, listen, I hope it's an exciting game. The Chiefs are underdogs, so I think that's a pretty good place to be. We've got 3 players that are injured and are not going to play, but I believe in Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Coach Reed that they're going to get us to victory. And at the end of the day, we're going to have Taylor back there, Tay-Tay, rooting for us as well. I'm putting the over-under at 7. 7 times we'll see Taylor during the Super Bowl. So go
yeah,
Chiefs.
The over-under is 7 times. Okay, finally. You think Travis, like on the 50-yard line, will get down on one knee, maybe with a ring, or are we going to see that at some point? What's your prediction?
Oh my gosh, I think that's a possibility. America needs a love story like this, so I'm rooting for them and just embrace them and welcome her to the team.
Senator Roger Marshall.